Welcome to the Whitetail Watch, produced by Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. It's a frosty morning. I'm out here on Wednesday morning, 16th, I think, of October. And the conditions really were very nice over the past couple of days for hunting. So I'm going to talk first about what we saw, and then I'm going to switch gears and talk about what we can expect. Looking at the weather forecast ahead, and the general behavioral trends of deer, as the season goes along, we need to be able to predict what's going to come up next. So let's hear from our sponsors, and then we'll get right back to the action. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail app, Whitetail Institute, Research Equals Results, B3 Releases, XO Broadheads, Exact Sights, and Hoyt. We did not see the same type of activity this year on the mid-October cold front that we saw last year. And I'd predicted that there would be a bit of, say, false rutting activity. A lot of times mid-October will bring just a real flurry, short flurry of bucks chasing does. Maybe you've got a very few does in the area that do come into estrus a month early. This would be the time frame for that. And when you align that with a cold front, generally you're going to see some interesting action at least. And we didn't. I hunted Monday and Tuesday. So those were the 2 days that were the colder during this past week. And we didn't see, we see a doe on Monday and nothing on Tuesday. And we were hunting good spots. I mean, Monday I was back in the timber in a spot where generally we would get some bucks on trail camera back in there. Nothing. The bucks weren't moving at all. And then last night we sat on the edge of a clover plot, corn, clover, and another spot that on the trail camera there'd been quite a bit of activity. And again, nothing. I thought for sure we'd see some activity out on the clover, a buck chasing a doe, or just, something moving, and nothing like that. So it was a bit disappointing, and I don't really know how to explain it away because it wasn't what I expected, and it's definitely not what we've seen in the past. But again, I've said it before that every time you say never or always, they're going to prove you wrong the next day. And that's kind of what happened here. So I talked to a lot of people, and it's the same thing. Most people just didn't see the activity. I talked to a couple of farmers, and they said, running combines, they weren't seeing the deer moving like they often do. So anyway, just sort of an odd passing cold front. So hopefully you didn't spend vacation days on Monday and Tuesday. Hopefully you're still saving those for what's coming. So let's look ahead. What should we expect? This weekend's weather looks warm, a little bit warmer than what a person would probably want to see maximum movement. Deer are wearing their winter coats now, or they're starting to. So when you get temperatures in the 70s, like we're supposed to see here in the Midwest, that's a little bit, say, on the warm side for a lot of movement. Plus, we're at that phase in the season where I call it almost the calm before the storm. The bucks it's an odd time, and I'm seeing it on my trail cameras right now too. The bucks have shuffled around. Where I've been seeing them, catching them in September and early October, they've disappeared. Like there was one buck that we've been after, we call him the fat buck. Early October, he was still in the same places that he had been in September, and now he's vanished. And I picked him up about a quarter of a mile away on a different camera, just a couple of hits on there. So I know he's moving and separating and splitting out maybe into a slightly different fall range than where he was in early October. And I think you'll see that final shuffle right now. So this is the time to do your fine tuning. If you've got trail cameras out, pay more attention to what you're finding now than what you've been seeing, because that can be misleading. The camera photos that you get back in late September and early October, can lead you to believe that the bucks are going to be in a certain location. So what you find now is more of an indication of what you can expect during the rut. So the question is, where are they moving to? If you've had your excitement level high because you had a buck that was, moving in an area that you had access to hunt, and now he's not there anymore, where is he? And I think that, again, it's the calm before the storm for us, but it's the calm before the storm for these bucks too. I think they're holed up closer to their bedding areas, deeper in the cover. So you can chase in after them maybe, if you really are determined to hunt this coming weekend, but they're not going to be moving that well, in my experience, coming out away from those places. This is the time frame when I would say, like I said, they settle deeper into their core areas. You think about where these bucks are probably bedded, I'd say they're going to be in those areas now, and they're not coming out as much. They're on their feet, maybe a little bit, moving around back in those places, but you just don't see them out in the open. When the rut comes, we can go in after them in these locations, or at least we can focus on the areas where the does are most numerous, because that's where these bucks are going to move toward, as we get closer to the end of October. So don't lose heart. Like I said, they're still around. They aren't moving as much, and they aren't coming out into the open as much. They're settled back into more of a reclusive type of a pattern now for the next 10 days or so. And then they'll pop back out. So keep an eye on the does. Pay attention to where the does are at now. That's going to be an indication of where the bucks are going to be in 2 weeks. So if you're really trying to pattern anything right now, you're probably trying to pattern the does, because like I said, that's where the bucks are going to be once this rut really starts rolling. So fine tune. This weekend is more about fine tuning and not about hardcore hunting. That's what I'm going to be doing. Moving a few stands around, trying to reestablish, some thought process on where these bucks are at that we're going to be hunting. There's a couple on the farm that we're going to be after, and then I've got access. And I know if you've been watching the Boning Whitetail series, you've seen that I've got access to a couple of farms that are, in the general neighborhood. So I'm still hitting that really hard, the scouting side of it, and I'm not going to be in the tree stand. I might be hunting, but I'm not going to be in the best spots. I'm going to be spending my time now over the next several days really trying to understand, where the bucks are and where I can expect to find them on the weekend that comes next. The next weekend, not the one coming up, but the one after that, is the one that we need to be ready for. I've always felt like this time of the season, you took your shot, your mid-October shot, and it either worked or it didn't. And if it didn't, you're falling back into the fine-tuning, figuring out, how to have all of the ducks in a row, everything organized, the stands in the right locations, the whole process figured out, because it's going to get really good here in the following weekend. Well, I appreciate you joining me. I'll see you right back here in another week for the next episode of the Whitetail Watch, produced by Hoyt's Bow Hunting Whitetails. And remember to always dream big.